Good happy hump day mornings where technology and I are not dancing on the same sheet of music, and we're certainly not doing the same steps. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy hump day. Forgive my tardiness. Um, there are just days when I don't do the technology in a way that works for the technology, works for me. Clearly, technology wasn't having it. So we're a little bit late getting started today, but we were here and thinking of you and grateful to be here. And I see some people popping in. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Sarah Lynn Baker. Hi, Rachel Ruth. Good morning. It is the 101st episode of the Hump Day Happy Chat, coming to you live from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery. It's so great to have people here. I'm just going to say, oh, aren't you sweet? Look at all these. I see these people coming in. Thank you so much for being here. So last week we had this wonderful celebration, which was very special for me. And I once again just want to thank all the people who came, thank the people who shared their perspectives and their gratitudes along with mine, and to thank all of those who have watched it ever since then, since it was posted. We're continuing on with the Happy Chat message and with the mission and vision, and we're so grateful to have you joining us. And we got to get our sign in here. We say yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes to that. And this is what we're feeling like today. This was a painting that I picked in a workshop I went to a while ago, and it says at the very top, it's wisdom. So it's wisdom, and it feels like it's absolutely appropriate for what we do in the Happy Chat, which, as I mentioned last week, the mission and vision for the Happy Chat is that there is wisdom around creating happy. There is wisdom involved. In fact, I wrote a blog a while ago, and maybe I'll run it again, around you actually do need to teach people how to be happy. We're not taught. Well, okay, what I'll say is, when I was taught through social consciousness, family, school, television, whatever at the time, we're talking about the 60s and 70s. Yes, I'm not old. 60s and 70s, I was taught around external happiness or conditional happiness. Nothing wrong with that. I still do a lot with external happiness. Last week you saw balloons here. And you saw me sipping out of my big chalice, sipping some champagne. And tonight I am treating my operations manager and I to mani-pedis and some sushi for our joint birthdays. So for things like that, like external happiness, there's nothing wrong with it. Where it becomes a problem, and where I say it's suboptimal, where it was suboptimal for me, where it's suboptimal for my clients, is you can't really build a house on that. It doesn't last. It's conditional. That's the whole idea about conditioned patterns of things. They are conditioned on some dynamic of the pattern staying the same. And they don't. I hope I'm not the first person to tell you. I hope you already noticed your life probably isn't the same as it was 20 years ago. And the things that maybe bring you happiness, maybe do it in a different way from the external world. From the internal world, however, what we're creating is a possibility for happiness always to flower in any external situation. So regardless of the conditions out there, and right now, in my kind of microcosm here, there's stuff going on with the physical body. There's stuff going on with the weather and the fires. There's stuff going on in the financial realm. There's stuff going on in the civil unrest, like all of that, air quality index, and don't even get me started on what I watched on television last night. So there are all kinds of dynamics that could give you an opportunity to go into the dark side, to go into the dark space. And when we are wise, awake beings and take responsibility for the happiness that we're creating, we have a much better opportunity to live happy to be me. Book title. That's what I'm all about. So today's Hump Day Happy Chat, I'm Valerie Shepard, coming to you live from the Hartley Center for Mindfulness and Self-Mastery, where we teach you how to master yourself, this beautiful instrument, head, heart, body, spirit, how to master yourself in your life so that you can exquisitely manage all that stuff out there, what your life brings your way. Having what you desire. This is how you create the happiness and the things that you really want from the inside out. From the inside out. Hermetic principle, as above, so below, as within, so without. So creating the space within you so that when the spiritual laws of the universe, which are always in operation 24/7, 365, as they're operating and doing what they do all the time, one of the conditions out there, universal spiritual law, is in action, just like gravity. It's in action all the time, whether you know it or not, understand it or not, like it or not, believe it or not. It's out there, operating, all moving in, through, around, and as you. So as we do this dance with life, we're co-creators. And so the Hump Day Happy Chat is about equipping you with everything you need to be a powerful co-creator for the things that you want, not the things that you don't. And I get a lot of happiness from the things that I want. And I've learned how to retain that happiness, retain that space of joy within me, and actually even fertilize it, even when things that I want, like, I'm going, where did this come from? Even when the things that I don't want are a part of my life on an ongoing basis. You know me, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so today the title is, well then, what did you do? I like that. Then, pause, pregnant pause. What did you do? I've been changing that up because I've been asking myself this question. So where did this question come from? Then, what did you do? So I've been reading Kamala Harris's book. Kamala Harris, the candidate for vice president on the Democratic ticket, has a New York Times bestseller called The Truth We Hold, An American Journey. And I felt the responsibility. I felt really strongly that this is a really important election in the United States, and to be an educated voter, to exercise my constitutional right and duty in a powerful way, I need to know more about her. I actually only know her really as a Attorney General for the state of California, as a senator in the state of California, because I live in California. If I were back living in Georgia or back living in Virginia or back living in Ohio, I'm not sure I'd know that much about her. And it occurred to me, I don't know that much about her. But anyway, so I was reading this book. I'm just in chapter 1. It's a memoir, and it's really so far very interesting to hear kind of the twists and turns and how she's moved through her career, first as the Alameda County District Attorney, and then all over the place to, you know, doing the journey, the career path. And there's, in the first chapter, I think I'm only in chapter 2, but I think it's chapter 1. She's talking about her mother, Shamala, which, oh, and their names are so beautiful. In Sanskrit, Kamala means lotus. And I actually, after I heard her talk about that, I looked up her mother's, and her mother's name's Shamala, one who turns coal into diamonds. And she's no longer walking the physical plane, but she was a doctor looking for a cure, a scientist looking for a cure for breast cancer. So imagine that, turning coal into diamonds. How beautiful. Look up your name. I know what my names mean. It's really powerful to know what your name means. And to change it if you want a different meaning, I guess. Lots of people do that. I lucked out. I'm okay with, my name is exactly what I'm doing, so I like it. Anyway, so I digress. Anyway, so in this whole journey of happiness, Kamala's mother, when she would come in from school or from wherever and start telling her mom the stories of the day. This person said that, and they did this, and sometimes she was upset about it. And her mother's question was often or always, and what did you do? And I was like, wow. And what did you do? Is the question. And I thought, like, it really struck me. It really struck me. As you can tell, I'm doing a happy chat about it. That's how, like, how it's been unfolding. The seed got planted, and that just, it's still unfolding. And it's a simple question. What did you do? Then what did you do? Profound in the way it takes the storyteller and puts them right back in the action of the story, in the engagement of the story, in the creation of the story, the creation of the story. You know, how many times have you heard yourself and you're telling a story and you're telling a story and you're telling a story and you're telling a story, and most of it is about what they did. What did they do? And in some cases, when I hear myself telling stories, I'm also telling stories with shame and blame. What they did to me, what they did that I didn't like, what they did that harmed me, what they did that they shouldn't have done. Like, I'm telling the story that way. And some of us go through life that way. There are some very big examples of that playing out in the world today. The shame and the blame story, the deflection story. And then what did you do? And so I love that capacity that this question creates to shift me from passive observer to active character. I could take up the sword. I could, you know, take the hose and water something. I could see myself going back into active character in the very next moments of the story I'm telling, or the story I'm living. So step 3 in the 4-step Living Happy to Be Me process, step 3 is make up a new story of you in your life. So of course, I could not think about storytelling without the step 3 that's in my 4-step process. The whole idea is making up a story, of making up a new story in your life, of you in your life, is asking this question. What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna be? And how is that gonna unfold? And in the book, I go so far as to say, and hey, guess what? Make yourself the writer, the director, the producer, and the superstar. Like, cast yourself in the $20 million role, not in the also ran. And this has been a journey that I've been on. There are ways that I've noticed, wow, I've cast myself in a much smaller role than I believe I'm here to express. Which isn't relative, right? It's not about being bigger than that person, or smarter than that person, or more money than that person. It's not a relative role. It's a relative role. It's not an externally relative, and it's an internally relative. So how am I doing it differently than I did last week, yesterday? What role am I choosing for myself in my tale of my living happy to be me? Really dynamic. It's really juicy. Thank you, Kamala Harris, and thank you, Shamala. Oh, I don't know her maiden name. Is it Harris? Well, there's another question. What did you do? I ask myself that in my stories of myself now. And then what did you do, Valerie? And now what are you doing? Now what are you going to do? So we're talking about something that social scientists call agency. You may have heard it, agency, which is defined as our ability to act independently and to make our own free choices, our agency, our own free choices to do or not to do it this way or to do it that way, to make our own free-willed choices, not being held up by structures. We're hearing a lot about structures, and they need to be dismantled, some of them, maybe lots of them, and rebuilt in a way that they actually support and serve those with really strong agency. I think in psychological terms, it's probably called locus of control, internal locus of control, versus external locus of control. The world acts on you. And we're all in this in some place. Nobody's 100% one or the other, I don't think. I think we're all an amalgam. And in certain instances and situations and circumstances, we're acting with much more agency. And in others, maybe not. Maybe not. Look at your life. Where are you doing one or the other? Where are you using your power? Where are you maybe less activated in your own power, your own capacity to bring the happiness that you seek into your life in any given moment? So I want to wrap up here by talking about, just think about this and explore. You know, one of my favorite words is curiosity. So the happiness that we are able to create, I believe, is directly commensurate to the amount of curiosity we lead in our lives and our inner sanctum of, like, what is it that I want? And what am I willing to do to get it? Am I willing to explore for myself? Am I willing to release old wounds? Am I willing to ask for help? Am I willing to pray about it? What am I willing to do to deliver myself to the pulpit of happiness? So I find myself in my own life examining my agency all the time now. It's happening a lot. And I think I see things like this. This has been a big one for me lately. I'm very, I'll call it upset. I've had some upset about my weight. I've changed a couple of my um, prescriptions relative to the brain hemorrhage. And of course, I take responsibility while I'm sort of, wondering if something else is making it harder for me to have the agency that I want. But so I don't like the number on the scale. And I know it's not about the number on the scale, but the number does reflect some things I see and feel in my clothing, etc. So the number on the scale is a good marker, not necessarily the totality of the marker, but it's a good marker. Don't kid yourself. It's a good marker. So I haven't liked it for a few months. And I am now asking myself, and then what did I do? So now that I don't like this number this morning, now what am I going to do for the rest of the day? How am I taking back my responsibility and my control over what the number might look like tomorrow or the next day or next month? I'm afraid I didn't handle something well. I lost my temper in a conversation, or I just didn't respond. I actually reacted. And then I asked myself, well, then what did I do? Then what did you do, Valerie? I need a break. This past weekend, I did that very well. I did need a break. I took a break. I went camping. I let go of all of my social media and my phone and all that stuff. And I went and did something that was about going back within, centering myself in nature, listening at a deeper level, and relaxing. I have some friends who show me how to do this. I'm not good at this. I've had people tell me all my life, you don't know how to relax. So I make it a point to get out with some friends, and they show me. And they did. I did a lot of sitting around with my feet up. Not sure what should be my next action or words. I ask myself now, what did you do? What are you going to do? What is yours to do? Upset about the upsets in the world? And there are some big upsets in the world, and some of them touch me like spears in the center of my chest, and some of them like kicks in the gut. And they can send me on a tailspin in a heartbeat. And then the question comes back. Now, what do you do? Valerie, what do you do? Now, what do you do? So in my life and in happiness, this idea of then what did you do? This question is about a couple of things. Taking responsibility for your own happiness, whatever that looks like in your world, taking responsibility and giving that to yourself. and then going on the journey internally to find out what's getting in the way. And is that stuff that's getting in the way true? Is it real? Is it present? Or is it something from the past that you're just not letting go of? Can you forgive yourself? Can you forgive others? When the answer to that question, then what did you do, isn't really the one you want. So when I ask the question after I look at the scale, but later on in the day, I really want a moon pie and I have one, can I forgive myself? And I did have a moon pie last night, and I had a couple this weekend too. I did have a moon pie and it was so good. And can I forgive myself? Can I love myself in spite of the answer to the then what did I do, not really living up to my brilliance? How many times does the answer to that question for you maybe not live up to your brilliance? Not living up to your brilliance is kind of a part of the journey of life. We're learning how to be our highest potential at all times. And until we learn how to be it at all times, enlightenment, right? Until we learn how to be it at all times, we dip in and out. And then the part of life where we're not dipped in is about forgiving and loving ourselves anyway, just because we're here, just because we're attempting, just because we're getting right back in the game. And that's the last piece. Just get back in the game the best way that you can, in the best version of yourself that you can. Get back into the game. And then ask yourself again, and then what did I do? Yay. That's today's Hump Day Happy Chat. Thank you so much for joining us. 101 episode. We're on our way to episode number 200. There may be some dynamic shifts in the way we're producing this show for you. Some new things are coming. They're bubbling up. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to close the way I always close, with the metta prayer, which is the Karanaya Metta Sutra from the Buddha. It's the prayer of loving kindness. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. That is where your happiness is found, by the way. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. That means you, that means me, all beings on the planet. That's when the planet shifts as each of us takes responsibility and awakens to the light of our true nature. And may all beings be free, emotional freedom, free to be you, free to be in the highest version of you, free to be the spiritual, integrated human that you are. Many blessings. Happy, happy hump day. See you next week. Bye now.